Well, after a lot of rain recently, it's finally stopped, and I thought I'd take the opportunity to go to the Flinders Ranges, and in particular Wilpena Pound, to do a bit of equipment testing. So a few videos ago I talked about the idea of minimalist camping and how that influences me, and how I think it's going to influence a lot of people if the fuel crisis continues. But in order to learn more about it, the best way is to actually do some more proper minimalist camping. And what better place to do it than the Flinders? And this time no big tent, but I've got two small hiking tents. Morning, just going to breakfast at the resort before I head out on my hike today, and I'm having battery issues, which tells you something. It's bloody cold. I've been having to try and warm it up in my pocket because yeah, start the camera and then it gives me a warning. Battery, it doesn't say it's cold, but I know it's cold. How did I sleep last night? Not bad. Sometimes comfort when camping can be relative. I wasn't shivering, so I'm not really cold as a result. But I'm trying to work out what sleep system I should use in the middle of the winter when I go on things like this hike today. So this jacket, for example, this down jacket I'm wearing now, it's quite thin. But I do have a thicker one that takes up more space. I think I can get away with this one, which is what I wore last night in the sleeping bag, as long as I have thermal underwear as well. So anyway, working this out as we go along. Time for a coffee. That's what you need after a freezing cold night. No doubt about it. Before I head off on this hike, I'm just going to show you how I actually pack my backpack. And none of these ideas are original. They've all been plagiarized. So, you know, that's how you basically learn about backpacking and how to do things like pack your backpack for efficiency. So I'm using a 45-litre backpack, which a few years ago I would have thought was a little bit small for backpacking, but 45 and 50-litre packs are actually used a lot more now. So we're going with that today. I've got 4 litres of water. So there's a 2-litre bladder inside the pack. That's to be used when I'm actually moving. And then I've got to have a 1 litre or 2 1-litre bottles outside the pack, which I might use when I'm either stopped or when I'm cooking. So one of these is going to have perhaps some Powerade or Gatorade in there as well, like mixed with the water, and the other one will just be water. So the first thing in the pack, and I'm going to be using a liner, not just because, hey, if it gets wet because of rain, that could be an issue, but also because there's actually the 2-litre water bladder and they're not impervious to failure, and that's inside the pack. So that's more of a concern to me. So basically, you line the pack and you just basically jam this thing in there. You don't just jam it in. Don't need a crush sack at all. It's one of the things I found out recently, to my surprise, that very few hikers who are minimalizing things or doing things on a minimalistic level, very few of them use crush sacks. So jam that down there as hard as you can. 2 extra thermals, top and bottom. I've got one on, but after last night, which was a bit chilly, I'm going to ram them down there as well, and just ram it down the bottom. The next thing is the pillow. This is a new pillow. It's not an inflatable one. It's got like foam inside, lots of pieces of foam. So first night I used this was last night. I'm still yet to find a pillow for camping that I love, but it wasn't terrible and I was able to sleep on it. So there you go, that's packed up, and that goes sideways in the pack. Not quite as squashy as the sleeping bag, but not too bad. Now that's going to be further out, and inwards I'm going to have some of the heavier items, so those items are close to my body. So the heaviest item, putting water aside, is the jet boil, which is what I'm going to use to cook on tonight. And I'm just going to put it in sideways, and this is going to be essentially jammed just behind the pillow, so they're both sort of a similar shape, like a cylinder. Ram them down hard, and squeeze that sleeping bag even more. And then on top of that, I'm going to put the two food sacks. One's for dinner, one's for breakfast tomorrow. Been experimenting with these. I'm yet to find ones that I love. So these are the two that I dislike less than the others. Alright, the tent, which is a bit of a novelty to me because it was cheap at $85. It's the 2-mount tent, and you can find this on Amazon. And you will note that it's a little thinner or a little less long than a lot of other tents. That's because the poles are outside. When you want to pack these inside the pack, take the poles out, maybe even take the pegs out, and again stick it sideways to the width of your pack. That goes on top of the jet boil and the food, and just squeeze it down there hard. Getting a little bit squeezy now, but it will fit. And the last main item for the main section, another novelty, and this will be the first time I've tested this camping, and it's the Thermarest Neo Loft. We may talk a little bit more about this tonight. That can go just in front of the tent. There are other items, of course. I have some socks, 1 pair, underwear 1 pair. I've got a first aid kit, and I got a few little snacks that are carbohydrate based, and they can go on the top. And the only item then that we need to put attached to the pack, apart from the cameras, is the chair, which is also a hiking chair. And I've wondered, will I take it, won't I take it? I don't have to take it, and it is extra weight, but I want a chair the other end, so that's going to get packed down too, and it's going to go on the bottom. Before I forget, down jacket off, and I'll be walking in this unless it gets really hot. So just the thermal top, that can get just jammed inside, along with the beanie, hat for hiking. And ladies and gentlemen, we are pretty much ready to hit the track. Here we go, 5.7 kilometers to Wilcolo Camp, and I can see St. Mary Peak with the sun on it at the moment, looking beautiful. I'm really quite surprised over all the years I've been here. I've never been on this track ever, and it goes right in front of all the peaks. There's a little emu, well, not so little. You know, you're in Australia when you see things like that. Just taken the waterproof off. So this is just thermal top. So this now becomes the action suit. You keep hearing me refer probably to the action suit. All I can say is read the book Extreme Alpinism by Mark Twight. Gives you some very novel, interesting ideas on, well, I guess how to do alpine climbing, but also how to dress, how to sleep, and how to prepare for outdoor activities. And I think when I read it first, I was heavily involved in hiking, and I was also doing some entry-level mountaineering, you know, like trekking peaks in the Himalayas. So I thought I was going to go on to do a lot more of that. Didn't happen, because I now have an overuse autoimmune issue called psoriatic arthritis, which often presents in the knees. So that kind of did it for my aspiration, shall we say, in mountaineering. But you can still use Mark Twight's approach in a lot of things. It's basically like an idiot-proof approach. And I'll probably talk a little bit more about that at a later stage, but it goes hand in hand with minimalism as well. So it's something I find very interesting. One thing you've got to be a little bit careful of on the Hysen Trail, and I have some experience with this because I did it wrong. You've got to read the signs. Now, it's all well and good if you've got a nice Hysen Trail marker and you've got an obvious path, an obvious track, and nothing else. But sometimes you'll find a sign that says follow the path, or follow the fence, or follow the creek. And it might well be that there's a very obvious path and you choose to follow that, and yet the sign says follow the fence or follow the creek. I say this again because back in 2007, a friend of mine and me, Amy, she'll remember this, were basically, we wanted to bag this quite well-known peak in the Flinders that a lot of people don't manage to get up. But in order to get there, the first part is on the Hysen Trail. And it was a 3-day adventure, the middle day being summit day, and the summit day went perfectly. We had a lovely day. But we got lost both going on in to our base camp and hiking back out. And it was just because we didn't read the signs. Follow the fence, follow the creek. It was like, there's a massive path going off on that direction. So we followed it. And before you know it, we're off going in the wrong direction. So we have basically did a bit of bush bashing towards the hill we were going to climb. And eventually we came back across the Hysen Trail a few hours later. But I don't think we're going to have that problem today, because there are no signs telling you to stick to the fence or the path or the creek. It's all a well-defined path, which is also the Mawson Trail, so that's important. Got to be able to ride bikes on it, so it's going to be a path, isn't it? And it's got a lot of markers on it. But yeah, don't take it for granted, don't get slack, read the signs and what it's telling you to do. Let's talk a little bit about these shoes I'm wearing, because they are probably the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn, period. When I knew I was going to come and do a 2-day hike with a tent and a backpack recently in the Flinders, I thought, oh, I better check that my footwear's up to scratch. And again, because of this autoimmune inflammatory condition, I just find that boots that cover the ankles, they just cause irritation. I used to like wearing boots when I did a lot of hiking, but now they're too heavy and too unforgiving. So I tried hiking shoes for a while, and I found that they were pretty uncomfortable, or maybe I just didn't find the right pair. So I went looking for another set, knowing that if I couldn't find the right set, I'd just get a pair of trainers. And went in to Paddy Pallin's in town, spoke to the staff, and got introduced to trail running shoes. So I guess it's sort of more of a compromise between hiking shoes and running shoes, and I've got to say they are super comfortable. I took them that day, did a maybe 8-9 hike in Morialta, didn't break them in, nothing, going up steep hills, down steep hills, all kinds of mixed terrain, no hot spots, no nothing. And yeah, they're just super comfortable. I can't actually remember the name off the top of my head, so I'm gonna put the name on the video, and I can try and work out the rough retail price. But yeah, they are sensational shoes. Highly recommended. I think this is the camp. Yep. And they got toilets as well. Awesome. What a view. First thing's to get the tent set up in case it rains, which hopefully it won't, but hey, you never know. Some people coming, I think. Only seen 2 other couples on the track this morning. Oh no, it's cyclists. Hey guys. Like I said to many people lately, $85 on Amazon. Can you get lighter tents? Yeah, but this is still under 2 kilos. So it's well and truly a hiking tent. This is super easy to set up. Right, if I want to just pick this up and move it now, I can. Easy. Okay, the Thermarest Neoloft. This is one of my latest acquisitions that I got online, and I wasn't going to rush into this actually because I thought, oh, it's just so expensive, but I managed to find a cheaper company. I think it was in the US, and from there it got sent over. So yep, I won't lie, they're not cheap, but for the weight you're carrying, they are, well, just wait until this is inflated, you'll be impressed. I'm impressed. So it's got an in valve and an out valve, and you just loosen off the in valve and you've got a big inflator sack, and it's going to become apparent probably why this is necessary and why it needs to be so big, because otherwise if you were blowing this up you'd be here for a long time. But this makes it a lot easier. Of course you could bring a pump, but
you know, then you've got extra weight, haven't you? Just having a little bit of difficulty putting that in. There we go. Just open them up. And for those who haven't done this before, basically you just put a load of air in it and squeeze as much into it as you can, and rinse and repeat. Okay, all done. And yeah, look how thick that is. I mean, this is as thick as my King single that I brought down, but you know, orders of magnitude more portable. I have tried this in the living room at home, and the only thing I found is it's, you know, it's a bit smaller than I like, whereas if you're a hiker, this is luxury, but I like King singles. But I'm going to have to sort of train myself to, you know, enjoy something a bit smaller. And I think you'll find, like in 2-person tents, even though that's a big hiking mattress, 2 of those will easily fit. Not so much in this one. This is marketed, this tent, as a 1/2 person, but it will be 2-person at a real squeeze. It's ideally a 1-person tent. But yeah, 1 person with one of these is not a problem. So let's stick it in the tent. Just seen a few mosquitoes, so I'm not actually leaving this open for too long. Right. I'll go in there in a minute and sort out the tent, take the sleeping bag out. I'm just enjoying the peace and quiet for a bit. Shall we sample some of this amazing camp cuisine? Not bad, and somehow it's better when you've got the view of the Flinders right in front of you. What you didn't see, however, was me making a mess inside the tent with the dried potato powder, which I managed to spill a fair bit of, and I've been busy scooping it off the floor. And you might wonder why I'm not outside, because that would be the logical place to do this. But there's still quite a few bugs out there, including mosquitoes, so I'm eating as if it was a wet weather scenario, but hopefully they'll disperse soon as it gets colder. I'm now heading back to Wilpena after my picturesque but chilly night at Wilcolo Camp. Yeah, highly recommended. Do I recommend it in the middle of winter like I just did it? I'm not sure. I think I need to
improve a couple of things with my sleep system for winter. I thought my sleeping bag with the clothing would have been plenty enough, but there were times when I was quite cold, but wasn't shivering. So again, how cold are you really? It's just a little bit uncomfortable at times. But I woke up a few times, and then I reckon about 5 o'clock I decided, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna slowly but surely start getting ready, because when you're doing that, when you're active, you're getting warmer. And in fact, when you hike, you don't wear lots and lots of clothing. So at the moment, all I've got is a thermal top on and my waterproof on, and I've just got tracksuit pants on. No fleece, no down jacket. That's for like when you stop and you rest. So yeah, now that I'm moving, I'm fine. Fingers are a little bit cold, and that's another problem, finding out some of the items on the tent require a little bit of dexterity to loosen. So you don't have gloves on, but then you start losing sensation in your fingers. But we got there. Tent's put away. It will need drying out, but that's what everything needs at the moment after all the condensation. Anyway, didn't see too many people yesterday on the track. There were a couple of people, well, 2 pairs, who camped quite late where I was. So they went into the clearing behind. I still had quite a bit of space for myself, so it wasn't like we were crowded or anything, even though this is a long weekend. And I'm not really expecting to see anyone on the track for the next 5.7 kilometers, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to enjoy the early morning, and at the other end of it, hopefully there'll be a warm drink and maybe some breakfast.